Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey, Spence, let's trip out.
I'm afraid not every human is as smurfy as they should be, Sapsy.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
Yeah, certainly. Here we are.
This pizza pie won't pass. Too many calories. Oh, the rest is okay. Natural light! Get it off me! Get it off me!
I don't know the meaning of the word chip.
Documented Geek Day.
Uh-oh.
All
All right.
We're
Now
live.
we're on. Now we're in the hot seat. And in our hot seat here in the den this week, we got Mr. Bill Russell from Puppet Master Dr. Death, Therapist, Field of Screams, and several other film projects that I'm sure many of us have seen. Some of us have not, but that's why we're here. We're here to talk about movies that a lot of people don't know about.
Yep.
Mr. Russell, welcome to the den. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being invited. It's nice hanging out with you guys.
Yeah,
So this is, by the way, 2 weeks in a row again. We did it.
we did it.
Yeah.
We did it.
This is our longest streak. We've had quite a few hiatuses, but or hiati, whatever the plural would be.
Hiati, yeah, I like
Mini
that.
story.
If it's not the official plural, it should be.
Yeah, it sounds right to me.
I will edit the Oxford dictionary and make sure it's reflected
Oh,
thusly.
Hell yeah. Yes, we appreciate that very much too. Now, okay, so we're pretty much just going to open the floor to you. What do you got going on at the moment? Are any projects in the works as we speak, or you just
Yeah, a few things. Right now, the one that's taking a lot of my attention is the movie Field of Screams, which I think is one of the ones you mentioned. I play a fella who had been an Appalachian witch, like with the divining rods, and spells and all kinds of things. And I retired to a farm in Colorado that was in the family, living there by myself, and I use my magic powers to bring a scarecrow to life as my companion. So we almost have like this father-son relationship, but it's a scarecrow, And then we're kind of reminiscent of in Godfather, where Marlon Brando and his grandkid are playing in the field or in the garden, and he has a heart attack. We're like playing hide and seek, and he jumps out at me, and I have a heart attack. So then after I die, he's left without anybody to rein him in, and he, I guess, goes on a killing spree. That's what I've heard.
That's so many first premises for horror movies.
Right?
If you were like laying it out, there are some really weak horror movies. That's not a terrible one.
Oh no. And it's first rate production. It is a small budget, but what they're doing with what they have, it looks really, really good. And they've already got it'll start streaming on May 6th. We just don't know for sure which platforms. I would assume Tubi would be one of them, but they haven't released the specific platforms yet.
What is there any attachment to Full Moon Features? I'm only asking in reference to Puppet Master being a full moon movie. I am curious as to how that came about. I mean,
that's the only full moon credit on my resume, and I've made it crystal clear to all parties concerned that I'd be happy to do more. And people who are Puppet Master fans that I've connected with online are, they've been adamant. Gosh, we would like to see you in more full moon. But Charlie Band is in a position where he can do what he wants.
Yeah.
So I don't think he really cares, which is all well and good. But as far as how it came out, there's a casting, what they call a casting platform online. It's a website that publishes casting notices. Like if a movie's looking for a part, they post it there, and then actors can send in a headshot, and if they like you, they'll say, yes, we want you. They'll send you a script, portion of a script, and say, we'd like you to read for this. So Actors Access is the one that I was monitoring. And actually at one point, the first thing I auditioned for that was full moon related was for Baby Oopsie 2, which I didn't get any response on. And then I submitted for Dr. Death, and they said, we'd like you to read for such and such a part. Have you seen the movie? Have you watched the movie?
I watched all right, so I did the previews on YouTube, and I ran through the kill list, which to me, I mean, I'm a FX.
Gotcha.
It's the stuff that I'm really into, and I do appreciate the fact that it was like so much of it. I don't know if there was a CGI budget involved, but it didn't really look like it. It looked like it was all practical, which I fucking love.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you that guy's name in a moment, but I can't put my finger on it right now. He works with Full Moon a lot, and he was terrific. But I auditioned for 2 different roles in that film, and then they cast me in a 3rd one. So I had auditioned for the 2 other old guys that get offed, which I thought that was interesting. That they
so you got called in to be 2 victims, and they were like, while you're here.
Yeah, really, and that's just how it works sometimes. Greg Leitner is the gentleman's name that did the special effects for Dr. Death, he was a hoot to work with. He knows his stuff.
Oh, the shots, like the one, I got the morgue attendant or whoever that gets his Achilles cut, which is the fact that they took a moment to freeze on the shot,
right?
Watch it, like that. That's cool. I love that shit. It's one of my favorite things in any movie. Like make it a visceral thing. Like we don't. That's some good stuff.
Absolutely.
Obviously, don't want to see it in real life, but seeing it on film, and especially the artistry that goes into it, because it is an art.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it was just let's say that the kill list of the preview had me interested, although I was curious. The Dr. Death puppet, it feeds into the Puppet Master franchise, right? Like, so it's part or adjacent to.
There was a Retro Puppet Master, I think was what it was called.
Right.
And that's where the Dr. Death character was introduced. And to the best of my knowledge, that's the only other film that he was been in. And obviously they sort of changed his look and things.
So it's like Puppet Master adjacent. I mean, like it's Puppet Master, but it's Puppet Master. It's only the one puppet, but it's still.
Yeah, you don't hear anything about, none of the other puppets in the universe are mentioned, but they also leave it open for, something to follow. The ending strongly suggests that there's supposed to be more. Whether that'll happen or not, who knows?
I don't know. I will say that the preview that I watched and the kill list made me interested in watching the movie.
Yeah,
honestly,
and that's
it's a quick watch for what it is. It's fun.
Well, maybe so, but like you were saying, if it was the Retro Puppet Master thing, I remember what you're talking about. I remember when it came out on video on demand.
Right.
When it first showed up. That was I mean, that was like the early 2000s. Am I?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I mean, it was before I went to art school, so it's. I mean, I remember watching it on video on demand on Comcast, and I remember thinking it felt a little bit different than the other Puppet Master stuff, but it also felt like a possible new branch.
Yeah.
So there is something to that. It is also not I guess you could keep running with it.
It's like evolution.
Right. Well, yeah.
They just keep...
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I read Charles Band's autobiography, and in the course of time that they first made the first Puppet Master movie, and today, he's gone through so many iterations as far as having corporations working with him and studios working, and other times when he had no budget whatsoever. So some of the quality is not consistent. And I don't mean that they're like real shitty quality, but
there was a
low budget as opposed to big budget.
Yeah. Well, I would argue that any one of us growing up, probably like Puppet Master was probably one of our intro movies for horror.
Oh yeah,
I know it was mine. The Leech Lady, like the original version of Puppet Master, the Leech Lady was terrifying to me.
Yeah,
it looked like I would have loved to have had that guy. Like I know, which sounds crazy, but even like all the different characters, I remember thinking like, "There's what a crazy fucking movie," but still like wonderful, wonderful little creations. And then of course you went into the further stuff where you had like the Axis of Evil. I think we were talking about before we started recording, or we were talking about before you came on. Was Puppet Master Axis of Evil thing, where they were delving into Toulon's history and everything that came about, and then they introduced all these different puppets that didn't even make it. And I guess that probably I'm assuming, ran into the Puppet Master that Dr. Death branched from. I'm assuming
so, yeah.
All matches together. Like I said, I'm gonna watch the movie. Love horror.
Yeah, I think you'll like it for what it is.
I like
Absolutely.
Like I was watching highlights and I was like, hell yeah, that's great. That's the shit that I like.
Absolutely.
That is, it's not. And once again, just to clarify for one of our 3 viewers, it's not that I want to see it in real life. I like watching it on film. Someone put effort into it and made it happen. It's really cool.
Yeah,
it's like a full-on physical effect is one of the coolest things in the world.
Yeah,
you don't get it enough anymore.
And while we're on the subject of the SFX and Full Moon, I've also become friends with Jeff Farley, who was the official special effects guy before Greg Leitner took over. And he actually developed the original Dr. Death puppet head.
Ah.
And in fact, I have a pair of, he made some replicas of Dr. Death's hands that I have a pair of.
Awesome.
Over some of the shots, I guess you'd have to have them, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
See, that's the type of stuff you don't think about. You do not think about that until somebody mentions it. But like for shots, especially from a filming standpoint, you would have to have like individual pieces to attach to a rig. So yeah. Oh shit, that's cool.
We learn so much. Every episode we learn something awesome.
Really do.
There you go.
It seems like a weird, like something you would take for granted if you were involved in it. I mean, you see it, so it's just something you expect. But if you're just watching it at home, it's just kind of like the fixed camera thing we were talking about with the one movie. I can't remember which one it was, but it's like sometimes if you get like community theater level actors that are dealing with a scene in which they only have one good rig to work with, they're saying the lines over and over again in which the camera is moving back and forth and filming individual responses. When you end up with that weird wooden delivery, it's not the actors, it's the budget.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, which by the way, something else while we're talking, we're going to go off subject a lot.
Yeah. It happens.
Sorry.
I have a very tangential brain, if I'm saying that. I go off on tangents easily.
Yep.
Oh, same.
Yep.
Now, Jason, you mentioned community theater. Bill, you got your start in theater, correct?
Yeah, I actually, I knew I wanted to get involved in film or something in that, creating things on camera because growing up in rural Wisconsin, where there's nothing around you, you don't have any exposure to pop culture or anything.
Rural PA.
It's like I would love to be. All I had was what I saw on was movies.
Yeah.
And of course, back in my day, it was before cable and VCRs and all this. So all you had was broadcast television, which meant the 3 stations that were closest to you is all you got. But luckily, after the late news, other than Johnny Carson, nobody else had anything. So they all played movies. They all played. So as a kid growing up, that's how I was first exposed to horror movies and movies in general. I just fell in love with that.
I was gonna ask.
Then after I dropped out of Bible college, there's another story. I ended up in Chicago and started taking screenwriting and directing classes at Columbia College in Chicago, hoping to, become a screenwriter, get involved in the industry in some way. And while I was doing that, that was the early 80s when a lot of people from Second City were having success. Harold Ramis's movies and Bill Murray and John Belushi, all those, all of these people were originally part of Second City Theater in Chicago. So somebody had suggested, they said, you ought to take improv classes at the Players Workshop of Second City. It's really good for developing your creative skills. Which it really was, but then that's sort of the path I went on. I ended up not pursuing classes with screenwriting anymore, and that's sort of so. 1985 was when I first started. Actually, no, that's my first sketch type show was the Second City Children's Show that I did. That was 1983. And then I started performing long-form improv in 1985 with Del Close, who had been the director of Second City when it was Bill Murray and John Belushi and John Candy and all of those guys.
Awesome.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's an incredible story.
Yeah, it is.
Wow. There's weird connections. I mean, there are really weird connections after, all the way through any bit of the industry, really. I mean, we've talked to some people on here that have some weird stories as it relates to others.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I guess it was a timing thing there as well, time and location.
Right.
In that and Second City Improv, which is it's a legendary, understood.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a huge deal.
Yeah.
I did not expect this conversation.
If we can continue on a tangent and talk about stories, in the early 90s, I got cast in a murder mystery dinner show in Chicago, which it's supposed to, it's like you do a murder mystery while people are eating dinner.
Right.
So it'd be like, oh my God, we have to solve who killed Kiki. Thank goodness the entree is ready. And I did that for close to a year, and I became good friends with one of the other guys in the cast. And in fact, he was doing improv with the same people I had worked with in the 80s with Del Close in that outfit. So we used to do improv together a lot. And he called me up one day. We were supposed to be doing an improv show. I said, Bill, I'm not going to be able to make the show. My movie Rudy is coming out, and I got to move out to LA. It was Jon Favreau. And that move is what Swingers was all about. So I'm watching Swingers going, oh, yeah, I remember. I know exactly what he's talking about. The last conversation he and I ever had, he called to tell me that the film had gotten picked up by Miramax, and he was all excited. And then after that, his number was no longer valid.
Right.
And I totally get it. You hit that level of like he did, just shot off like a rocket, pretty much.
He took off.
Yeah. It was that, right? Like it started with if you were going to talk about that specifically, if you had that as it led into multiple other movies too. Like it wasn't just God damn it, I've been drinking. You're a pretty baby. You're a little baby. You're playing little baby games. Swingers. Okay. So
yeah.
there was another movie with him and Vince Vaughn that came out shortly thereafter, wherein he was playing the muscle of some mob situation.
Yes.
And like that was pretty good too.
I know which one
is.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a few movies come out early there. There was another one, PCU, I think it was.
One of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Ever.
And of course, Rudy was, the
Balls and Shaft.
The starter.
Balls and Shaft.
The fact that like he got out there, my guess is the second he got there, it was all go until it wasn't finally.
Right.
That at least that's my suspicion. I mean, the guy literally landed the Marvel contract of a lifetime and then just.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I'll be honest with you, like I don't know him. My assumption is he finally got to chill a little bit. That would be my guess.
I would think so.
That would be my hope.
And he was a pretty down to earth guy. I can't imagine he's changed that much.
Yeah. Also, one of our 3 viewers, you know Gutter, you fucking love him. You don't wear the shirt.
Everything I've heard about him, he seems to be a good, decent person. So
it's still
that's all we can hope for.
It is a weird sort of like I use the term incestuous because it's the only one that comes to mind. But it's a weird like rapping sort of a thing. Like it's strange that like Second City, like I said, it's a legendary fucking improv group. It is.
Yeah.
Maybe behind what, the Groundlings, possibly. And even the Groundlings, that's only because of Saturday Night Live. It's not because of it's only
right.
But it's weird how much of it fucking feeds back into itself.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It is also really cool. At least for those of us that are outside of it, it's neat to see the connections.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That was what always fascinated me. It was like, oh my God, I didn't know that those two people were related through this.
Right.
And it's like you go back through the Second City, the list of actors who've been at Second City, like Alan Alda. You'll see names that people go, "Oh my God, he was with Second City." Joan Rivers. A lot of people that like that. So
I mean, even the number of people, like there were several. The SCTV thing was an offshoot of Second City.
Yeah, and
am I wrong about that? Like
when I was working with Del Close, he kind of helped inspire that because he also directed the Second City Toronto company in addition to the Chicago company. So that's how he knew all the Canadian guys like John Candy and Mike Myers and who later would come to Second City as well. That's how so it was somebody said, what if it was a TV show about everyday life in a TV station? Which was like, because Del was fascinated with, give me the dumbest or most vacuous idea possible, and we will use that to somehow create something wonderful. And his example was the ultimate suggestion from an audience for an improv would be wet cardboard. He said, you can't think of many things that are more bland and blah than wet cardboard, but what magic could be created by a group of talented improvisers inspired by this. So I think it was kind of the same thing. It's like, let's make a TV show about working in a TV show. And that became SCTV.
This is another one of those tangent type situations. SCTV, what's crazy to me about them is that like every, at least to my American sensibilities from the Canadian standpoint, there is not a member of the SCTV cast that did not go on to do something amazing. Like all of them carry
pretty much, yeah.
Which is like it's weird. It's a weird dichotomy because once again, back to the Groundlings and Saturday Night Live, there are huge Saturday Night Live players, huge, massive. Clearly, like we mentioned Bill Murray earlier, or for that matter, like Harold Ramis, he was a writer, right? But also with National Lampoon's, like there's a whole thing there.
Yeah, well, those guys all started out at Second City,
which is back to the point.
I think Lorraine Newman, of the original cast, Lorraine Newman and Chevy Chase were the only ones who You know, Chevy Chase was already established as a writer. Lorraine Newman was with the Groundlings. Everybody else was either with Chicago or Toronto, Second City.
Well, see, that's a weird thing too, because like if you consider, once again, this is also for my my particular introduction to Saturday Night Live when I was a kid. Like, so it was the end of Bill Murray when I was a kid. If I got to stay up that late to watch it, and then everything that came after that. So, like, but for me, the heyday for Saturday Night Live was the '90s.
Yes,
Mike Myers, Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman, like
Chris Farley.
Yeah, like the shit that was hilarious to me, I guess, was after a time where it actually got started. Like it came from something different, which I'm gonna guess goes back to FCTV. I mean, like I've only seen FCTV in reruns, and it's still funny now. Like it is.
Yeah, a lot of it holds up.
Oh, a shitload of it. So you cannot actually. You know what's funny is you can't say the same about Saturday Night Live though.
No,
like not past like the fucking 80s. Like the Bill.
There's a huge difference between the really good and the really bad.
I was like,
you have to like glue extra pieces of paper to your graph to be able to show
that was like,
the difference in quality.
Bill Murray talking about pure Chicago river water and glass. Like that was the peak to me. And I like even in retrospect, just the way it oozed out.
Right.
The bottle caps and all the other crap in it.
Yes.
That moment was like, that is hilarious. And after that, it just sort of went downhill. They'd have funny sketches.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as funny. It was the same thing with like Dan Aykroyd talking like as the toy company representative.
Right.
With his like, razor blade teddy bear.
Oh yeah. Mainway Toys.
That was
You got your bag of glass here.
It's a
Mr. Mainway. That's just a bag full of broken shards of glass.
Yeah, well, you know, give the kids what they want. That's what the kids want to play with.
There was something that would just spontaneously burst into fire.
Right. Oh yeah.
Things like, yeah, sometimes it catches on fire. Sometimes it does. That was like, to me, peak Saturday Night Live, which once again, I'm not sure how we got onto this. It was the SCTV connection. Oh, yeah.
And on SCTV, it was getting blown up real good that I liked. Speaking of things bursting into fire, I remember like they had Brooke Shields, blow up real good. Brooke Shields blow up real good.
Well, that's like there's a Facebook video roaming around from an FCTV clip of the Queen haters. Martin Short.
Yeah. I've seen that. I just saw that. Yes.
I find it like I'll just be randomly getting. If it pops up, I'll stop and watch it because it is that funny to me.
Right.
If for no other reason than once again Eugene Levy miming a punk rock lead on guitar, which is terrible.
Right.
And again, vacantly into space as he sort of plays drums. But Martin, just the entire. You know what? We've gone too far. We Sorry, it took a minute, but I caught up. This was my bad. I'm sorry about that.
We're used to it.
SCTV is a great show. They're just saying. Let's get back to what we were talking about.
Second City Television, SCTV.
Yeah, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Second City Television. Jesus Christ! Now you did it again.
Oh, great.
I won't say anything more until we figure out where we're.
We're going to get back to what you had going on.
I want to bring this up. Therapist. That movie title, the spelling of it sold me, and like I haven't watched it yet. I did see the production stills on IMDb,
right?
But just the name alone was like, you need to watch this movie because people hear therapist and they're thinking THERAPIST.
Yeah, it's
like as in piss off.
The concept. Well, first of all, it's shot or put together. It's like 7 minutes long. It's not that long, but put together like a coming attractions trailer type of thing, inspired by what they did like in Death Proof, where they had the machete, the
Like the
fake
Grindhouse
machete trailer that
trailers,
became real.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It's supposed to be a grindhouse style movie from the 70s, and it's a therapist who goes on a vengeance streak against people who hurt her clients, and she becomes therapist.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's like riding a motorcycle down the street with a gun in each hand, but she's a little gray-haired lady with, little spectacles on. It's very funny. It's very funny. So yeah, that's Planet Garbage is the company that made it. Planet Garbage on YouTube is where you can find that.
Okay. Cool. Excellent.
And we just found out that they're nominated for Best Dark Comedy at the Atlanta After Dark Film Festival Awards. So
yeah,
we're up against two other films.
After Dark is still running. That's awesome.
I'm going to step away for 1 second. You guys keep talking.
No, this is actually a good place for a break.
All right.
Especially because I really want to ask about After Dark.
Stomach to breathe. We need NUIC. Over. I read your stomach. Brain to feet. Let's get some fruity bubblegum. Damn for the new high C, dude. Stomach, it's affirmative. Stop your belly aching.
Introducing High C Fruity Bubblegum.
We have contact. High C taste rocks. The spot.
Let's check it out.
Introducing the newest WWF Wrestling Buddies, Big Boss Man and Jake the Snake Roberts. Clunk 'em, plonk 'em. Wrestling Buddies want to be your buddy.
Hey, buddy, what's going on? Nothing, officer.
Body slam.
Hey, who's the wise guy?
Big Boss Man.
Murphy. What's going on?
Nothing, Sarge. Big Boss Man and Jake the Snake Roberts, the newest WWF Wrestling Buddies from Tonga, each sold separately.
Concept.
All right, and we are back. And I had to step away for a minute.
Wow.
You guys were discussing movies that should perhaps, and good films. They were good as they were released, but probably should have been maybe released as a B movie. I came into a conversation about Dead Silence, which on the subject of Puppet Master, like as far as puppets go, that's one of the better movies I've ever seen. But as far as puppets go, that's like one of the better movies I've seen, Dead Silence.
Yeah.
And
Mary Shaw
so,
is such a creepy character in general. Like you didn't have to do much to like she's just insane. It's
Which one?
Mary Shaw, Dead Silence.
Oh, yeah.
There's also there is the fact that horror movies in particular are the last place that filmmaking has to go where a creator has complete control over what's happening.
Yeah.
It's not a drama, it's not a comedy, it's a horror movie. So it's the last place where true creativity can just run. But not from a major studio standpoint. There is no way for that to happen. They're going to go with super known actors, probably multitudes of super known actors.
Yeah.
They're going to go with a story that they know has made money before, so they're going to basically remake something.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a predictable ending. It's all going to be jump scares. None of it's going to be intelligent. There will not be a single thought involved in what happens. And they will aim for a PG-13 rating, which I'm not saying that a horror movie has to be the goriest thing on earth. It doesn't. There are some truly wonderful
Hell no.
You don't see shit.
Right.
Like Jaws. Jaws, regardless of how you think it's a horror movie, and it is fucking terrifying.
It is.
Absolutely.
You know, and there, you don't see anything. What's the most you see? You see the shark blow up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't until one of the sequels where you even see a body part by itself.
Right.
There is something to that. It was a different level of storytelling, and I think the last place that those stories exist, it's in B movies.
Yeah.
Right.
It's in independent filmmaking. It's in people making a movie because they care.
Right. Right.
Which leads us back around.
Yeah.
I mean, that was what we were talking about during the break.
Right. I just recently watched The Last Voyage of the Demeter for the first time, if I'm saying that correctly. And to me, what was really fascinating about that was how they showed,
I think I watched
a lot
that
of the
recently,
shots
too.
that were just done as shadows or whatever, that they didn't need the gore. To me, that was really fascinating.
It was, and that's the point, though. Like Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Yeah. Demeter.
The idea that they took that one moment out of Dracula and then made an entire movie out of it. That was the only thing I can how long was that script floating around before somebody's like, yeah, we'll try it.
Yeah.
It
had to have been.
been going for 30 years at this point before somebody was like, fuck it, let's give it a shot. And it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah. Well, to me, it was so refreshing to see Dracula in a different setting.
Yeah.
Especially as the horror, the terrible, evil, horrible thing that it is. Like that, the idea of Dracula, that's a terrifying creation.
Sure.
It's horrifying. By itself, it's terrifying. It is a living dead thing that cannot go to heaven or hell because it has been denied by both. That is a terrible thing.
Yeah.
You can make that into a terrifying movie, except the last time it was done was maybe Oldman's Dracula, and
that's what I was going to suggest. Yeah.
That was him. That wasn't even the fucking story. That was him portraying it. There's a lot missing in the way that we are given stories now.
Yeah.
In our movies in general. I mean, even you mentioned Trauma at one point. Like, just fuck it, go watch Trauma, because that's literally. It's a bunch of people who want to see a movie made, and they
absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're just like, well, we're gonna make it.
I want to see someone's head crushed by a stack of weights.
Yeah.
Right. I got an idea.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you got a company that released a movie called Poultrygeist. you know what you're dealing with here.
Literally going in, you're like, what do I expect? You know what? Shut up, buddy. You know what there's not a moment of this movie you can be offended by.
Hey, while I'm thinking of it, Full Moon has a movie called Bad CGI Gator. That if you haven't seen it, I think you would enjoy it as an FXX person, because going in, they tell you it's going to be bad CGI, and then they just fuck with it for the whole movie.
Yeah, no,
I loved it.
It's kind of like Dude Bro Party Massacre 3.
Yeah.
Dude Bro Party Massacre 3. Yes. It always comes back.
I got that movie. Guys tell me to get it. That's why I got it. It stands alone in my I actually moved it to a place by I don't even dislike it. I don't know how to feel about it. I've watched it 3 times, so that's got to say something. There was no reason to watch it. Nobody was watching me watch it. There was no point behind it. But I've done it. I've watched that fucking movie 3 times, and each time I felt a little weirder about it.
Yeah.
That's what that movie does to you, man.
It does. It makes you walking away like,
whether you want it to or not.
I'm sorry, by the way, Bad CGI Gator.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
One of the first horror movies that Channel 46 in Atlanta, Georgia, when I was a kid, used to do that. That's where Freddy's Nightmares came on.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No. Oh, wait.
Oh, continue.
It's the incredible Crash Dummies! Whoa!
Some days this job's hard to face.
Now the Crash Dummies have a crash test center where Slick, Spin, and all the dummies face the ultimate test.
Nice body slam!
There's even a place to crunch your crash car.
You guys really cracked me up.
Don't you be a dummy. Buckle your safety belt.
And leave the crashing to us.
The incredible Crash Dummies. Crash Test Center comes with everything shown. You put it together.
Oh, I love camping outdoors.
Who?
Me, Frankenberry, with my delicious strawberry-flavored cereal, Frankenberry.
Zip up, Frankenfooey. I'm here with my delicious chocolate cereal, Count Chocula.
Who?
Count Chocula, the cereal with chocolate marshmallows.
Biffle, Frankenberry has strawberry-flavored marshmallows.
Who? Who?
Hey, who keeps saying who?
Me, that's who.
Enjoy a complete breakfast with Frankenberry.
Count Chocula.
Yeah.
We're good.
All right, where were we?
Where were we?
So as I was saying,
There it is. No, we were talking. Okay, so we were talking about independent filmmaking, or at least that's where we were wrapping around to. I think.
yeah,
Excuse me.
yes, indie filmmaking taking over from the studios.
Yes.
The last place where a original story can actually be passed. I mean, there's not a lot going on with even the studios that were once something you could count on. You could count on Miramax at one point in time for releasing good movies that were relatively unique.
Yeah.
Right.
Anymore, it's not a thing. Every single studio wants to recoup the money that they put in.
Yep.
Which is understandable. It's a business. Cool. No complaint there. But the problem is if it's an original idea, they'll pass on it. They'll pass on it repeatedly until you can give an elevator pitch that relates to some other movie.
Yeah.
And that, like, all that does is destroy anything creative. What's even worse is with the horror movies, that was the last place Hollywood had to go. That was the last thing. I mean, to me, one of the last original horror movies was the Feast trilogy, and even that was an offshoot of a Miramax Greenlight or Project Greenlight thing.
Right.
Like even that was like the start of things going bad.
Yeah.
Everything after that was a sequel, or it had to be something that was related, or it had to be something that was in the vein of.
Yeah.
But it wasn't unique, with the exception of independent filmmaking, wherein suddenly you have people who are managing to get money to bolster an idea, create an entire story, and run with it. They can film it. Maybe it's a one-camera thing. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a new story. Maybe it's something inspired by something else, but it will be done in a unique manner.
Yeah. And I think the more that independent horror movies gain popularity, it's going to attract investors because they're going to say, oh, people are buying this, you know.
Yeah.
Like the new
there's
thing
an
is gonna be Killer
audience
Clowns.
for this, consumers for this.
Yeah.
And I don't even think they realize, I don't know if any, the people who make movies have a clue about horror conventions.
No, I don't think.
And it like the merchandising opportunities.
Yeah.
That they're probably clueless about.
Well, it's like the horror.
Yeah.
There are people that are literally still buying DVDs and they don't own DVD players. Like that's
all right. Oh, well, there's
no way to play it.
Physical media collectors.
Mm-hmm.
It's like collecting art, or, you know.
Oh yeah, no, drop a VHS version, drop a VHS version of your 2025 movie. You're gonna get there's people that want it.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Never watch it, but they want it.
Yep.
They want the case, they want the tape, they want it.
Yeah.
And that still goes back to horror fans. There is something.
We're an eclectic bunch.
It's what we grew up on.
Both of you guys have like not you, but you got figures and stuff in the background there. To me, I don't think it's much different. It's people like to show off what they like, and you can't show off a movie that you have on Tubi in your My Stuff list. Yeah, physical media. Plus, I know a lot of people. There's a lot of nostalgia, associated with it as well. But you know, you see a resurgence in vinyl records as well.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, I was just about to say I've got
even
3 or 4
cassettes are
boxes
making a
of
comeback
records right
now.
there and stacks of cassettes over here on my little table.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
My wife just bought a record player. Like, just got a record player. Wants to get records.
Yeah.
Seriously, like, I digitized my entire library every time there was a new upgrade. Like, I used to have all right, you remember the cassette cases that were like double-sided leather, and you'd open them and there'd be the one side, and then you'd flip it over and you'd open the other side, and they'd have. I had like 5 of those. Nothing but fucking punk rock and metal shit, all the way down.
Yeah,
with the exception of the one that I was ashamed of, and that was like Enya. Point of the matter is that got turned into CDs when CDs came out. Like CDs were important to me. It wasn't because it was when CDs first came out prior to there was some kind of law that was passed that made them have to be cheaper. I can't remember what it was. This was in America for, once again, one of our 3 viewers. Like they had to make them cheaper. So you weren't paying $50 for a CD. You were paying fucking $20. And that was, I started replacing with CDs, and then the digital media shit came up, and I was like, well, fuck it. I don't need CDs.
Yeah.
Converted everything to my computers and started downloading shit off of fucking 360 Share, which later became LimeWire.
Right.
The amount of fucking porn that I got when I was trying to ask it, I'm going to tell you, like, it's weird for a fucking young guy to be like, that's porn. I wanted metal. I was very upset. I was sad about it. Shit. I was like, it didn't even say on the end of it. This is bullshit. Even from there, it became an issue of fucking iTunes being able to just buy it, search it, and buy it. And I did the same thing with my physical media movies. Started Laserdisc, by the way. The Amityville Horror was the first fucking movie that I had ever seen at home. Yeah, and it just, I went downhill from there. VHS all the way across the board, and then eventually it got to this point where shit, you can just download a movie.
Yep.
And I did. I have terabytes of movies on my computer. Most of them are horror movies. Most of them are horror movies that I suggest to other people, and then they tell me to shut the fuck up and go away. It is weird that Hollywood in and itself, the place that we expect as a mecca for our fucking cultural version of passing down stories, doesn't grasp that there's a group of people out here that are down for the physical media. We want it. We want it.
Yeah.
We strive for it, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, just even look at a wall and be like, that's an entire row of shit I can't watch. But it looks really fucking cool.
Yeah, I have a lot of my physical media collection left. I mean, I don't know. I just never got rid of them, and now I'm really glad I didn't, because you'll never see some of those movies again. You know?
No, that's what I did. Okay, so From Beyond, right? Stuart Gordon, From Beyond, that movie. So when I first signed on to Netflix, they were still sending DVDs. I got From Beyond, Murder Party, and Feast 1. I kept them all. I never returned them because, like, the From Beyond was out of print. I was like, I'm not sending it back. I kept it. I still have it now. It's 20 years down the goddamn road. I still it's in a sleeve. I don't touch it. I replaced all the other ones, but that one, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
As we see, like, the FBI run right behind Jason. You're coming with us.
If you're coming through that fucking door, I won't even fight him. I did it. You want to watch it? I can't. I don't have a DVD player.
All right. Well, we are just about out of time tonight. So,
hey, while we're still mentioning briefly physical media, are you gentlemen aware that I was in the Blockbuster commercial, The Perfect Store, from the 90s?
I saw when I was looking you up. I saw it when I was looking you up.
Yeah.
I did. So
that's my tenuous claim to fame, is that I was in that commercial.
What's fucked up is how important Blockbuster was. Like, like, you guys saw the documentary, The Last Blockbuster, right?
Yeah. And the commercial is in there.
Yeah, no, and it would be. It makes sense that it would be. There was Blockbuster was super, but they took advantage. Yeah, they took advantage. They were there to make money. That's what they were there to fucking do. But they were super fucking important. There was a moment in our cultural zeitgeist in which literally any weekend was going to Blockbuster.
Oh, I see people post about that all the time.
Yeah.
It felt special. It felt different.
Yeah.
Like you had the horror section, like, and once again back to horror, but back to anything, you had the new release wall where you're guaranteed that there may be one movie left.
Right.
Yep. And if you got it, fuck, you're special. Congratulations. Right. You earned it. But anybody else, we were there for fucking brain damage or fucking deadline, right? Like,
absolutely.
To find shit.
Scanners.
Yeah, no, literally, like running down the list, you go into the horror section, not even just the horror section, go into the staff picks section. Which every other video store, Hollywood Video and all the other ones ripped off. But the staff section was awesome. Any of those kids working at those fucking places literally were just like, this is something you've never seen and you love.
Yeah.
Right. That shit.
You know, that's how Tarantino got started. He worked in a video rental place.
Exactly.
So that's how he learned how to make a movie. Watching movies in the video rental place.
Watching movies, enjoying them, and trying to suggest them to people.
Yeah.
And suddenly you have something like Reservoir Dogs, which is, from my understanding, is actually a ripoff of a French movie.
That could be. I think so. Yeah.
Right.
There was enough.
I think you mean inspired by.
Inspired by.
A reimagining, Jason.
There you go. Yes, a reimagining.
I will say we ended up with some of the best movies we had in the 90s and even up into the 2000s. Like, because of Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, yeah.
Video store and being like, you know what if we did this?
Right.
It goes back to independent cinema. It's important. It's very important.
Yeah.
And it is honestly a little sad that it's not what it once was. I mean, there was a point in the late 90s, early 2000s where any independent filmmaker was popping up and they were like, holy shit, you sold 500 by yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. Let's see what you can do. And then you have James Wan making Dead Silence.
Yeah.
You know, like there was for fucking Saw for anybody else is watching.
Yeah.
It is.
James Wan directed the first Saw movie.
Yeah, there was a moment where
a lot of people don't know that.
Great. There was a moment where things were going to be wonderful, and then it just sort of fell apart. It turned into helping the shareholders make sure they made the money.
Yeah.
Like, you don't make anything new. You take a remake, and like I said, you get an elevator pitch that's going to be a combination of two movies you've already seen with an ending that you can guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Bill, we want to thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Very informative. Like, we love a behind the scenes conversation. We love off the rails conversation.
Yeah, we'll have to continue this one.
We didn't really get too far off topic today.
We didn't. We did pretty good.
We stayed within the community, in the realm of film, and, you know, which we often do not do.
You didn't get a 20-minute story about my cat or anything. You know, we did good.
Right. But everybody keep an eye out for Field of Screams on your streaming platforms. That is coming out very soon. And Puppet Master Dr. Death, which was a very big topic of our conversation this evening. Check that movie out.
And let me throw, if people are watching stuff on Tubi, Evil Lurks, not When Evil Lurks, it's just Evil Lurks. Is a film I highly recommend people watch that I'm in.
No, that was another thing. So, random side note, that was another one of the ones that came up for the same reason. I was thinking where Evil Lurks, like the
right.
And I was like thinking that's what it was at first. Except when I went back and looked at it, it wasn't. And I was back to the same point. The effects.
Mm-hmm.
As such a fucking fan, please, practical effects, more practical effects.
Well, then if you'll just give me a couple more minutes, this movie, Vic Effects, is one of the filmmakers, Chris Shern, that did Evil Lurks, is making this movie. I play a notorious horror film director, and I hire a young woman as my Foley artist, my special effects artist. And so she's working on all these horror films, and at some point, the fantasy and reality in her life begin to blur. That's the thread of the movie, but the movie also includes the films she's working on. So there's all these mini movies within the movie.
Yeah.
Do you know I never pronounced it correctly, the sound studios, Caribbean Sound Studios. Yeah. It's kind of in that same vein. It's a horror movie about making horror movies. In fact, there's one because a lot of the movie is homages to other filmmakers, like shots like Hitchcock did, for example. But there's one scene that is very iconic from that movie that is replicated in Vic Effects. But I'll send you guys some information. But I think you're really gonna like it.
Thank you very much.
The fact that you're wearing the shirt, that's actually a good thing to shout out because that's normally what we do at the end of these.
Yeah.
Like that's,
Yeah, let me plug whatever you got coming up.
That was the time to do that.
That would be perfect timing on that. But again, thank you so much, Phil, for joining us tonight. Great,
My pleasure.
Great conversation.
Yeah.
Craig, Jason, as always, till next time.
Sometimes people take for granted about the best things ever planted, but they should be enchanted, should appreciate their trees.
Trees, Carly's Arbor Day Foundation spreads the word across the nation about trees.
Trees are terrific.
Introducing Teddy Grahams. We just want to eat tasty Teddy Grahams. A wholesome bunch of bite-sized bears full of golden graham. Oh, let them be your Teddy Grahams. The goodness of graham in a new lightly sweet snack. Exploding with taste in honey, cinnamon, and chocolate. Just want to eat those Teddy Grahams.
Little pigs, let me come in. Not by the hair on your chinny chin chin. I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in.
What the hell is this?
Sound crazy.
Well, there's no crazy people around here, right? Wow, second deep in episode in like a week. We're doing good.
Doing good.
If we could get us all together on one, that would be even better.
Happy Halloween.
They put all the crazy people here. They left them here to die.